Like everything was fake. It ended up being this North Korean hacker group that literally just fucked this crypto company and got access to six. If I sit up straight, I feel like the microphone's too far away, and then I slouch, and then I'm like, oh, it's right there, it's perfect, you know. But then I'm like, oh, but that's bad. I'm gonna look.
Dude,
like
you can slouch for the podcast.
Bad posture. Well, it's more this. I have this shitty dining room chair I'm sitting on because I gave my awesome Herman Miller chair to my son for his gaming setup. So now I'm fucking
That was
sitting
a
on
horrible idea.
I know, I'm a fucking idiot. But
kids are supposed to have like the most uncomfortable stuff.
Yeah, sit on some cardboard boxes and shit. But no.
Yeah, or like a wooden stool. Yeah.
No.
That way, see now. He's going to have to be successful because he's like, you know, you want things to get better in life, but he's like starting life with Herman Miller.
Yeah. Which I think I told you this too. Like, I was like, that's my career start too. Like being 17, having two screens when no one had two screens, Aeron, you know, Herman Miller chair, badass office. Like, you know, and that's your start.
Which was
everything is which was kind of after that.
Way ahead of your time, or way ahead of its time. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like even back then, like I didn't even know about that shit. It took me like a couple of years in design snobbery to be like, ooh, Herman Miller. That's all I want. They do make some badass shit though.
I didn't even know it was a Herman Miller chair until like probably after I left the company. You know, and like everyone was like selling.
And you're like, that's just shitty piece of.
Yeah, and I was
like,
this
shitty chair.
That fucking black one? Oh, that one? It's all right. You know, I'm like fucking bougie.
That's like
17-year-old.
Yeah, the first time I went to like, you know, you're making a little bit more money, and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna get a nice chair. I just had no idea. Like, I was like, all right, it's probably gonna be like $400 or something. $1,800 for the chair that I was like, oh, yeah, I guess I'm not going to get that right now.
So
I don't know.
I don't know if we've ever talked about this. So like I have a thing with chairs, and actually I learned it from our friend Bo, you know, and so when we were like, we worked together in Hawaii, and then we moved our company to San Francisco, right? And it was just me and Bo, and then like our sales guy, Brian, and like, we got to pick the office. Like, we went and saw a bunch of units. We're like, this is going to be our office. And we like picked the chairs and like all that. And so we were like, we're looking in catalogs at a bunch of cool stuff, and you know, and he was like, this is stupid. He goes, I promise you, it looks cool. It's going to feel horrible. He's like, let's just go down to like Office Max and just sit in every chair. And I guarantee the one that's like $40 is going to be the most comfortable chair you've ever sat in your life. So we go down there.
Yeah.
And we're literally like, I'm like, fuck you, Bo. Like, you're right. Like, every one of these that I think looks really badass is like so uncomfortable. And then this kind of super ugly brown, like velourish, like chair that like I would have never even looked at was the most comfortable thing. Like, oh my God, it was like a damn recliner, but for like an office chair. And like, we got them for the whole company, like these ugly brown chairs, because they were that comfortable. So now that's what I do. Like, I'll go sit. And so like what I did actually, now I'm even smarter. I've gained a little bit. So now what I do is I go to Office Max or Office Depot or whatever. I sit in all the chairs, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, this one. And then I look at it. I take a picture of the brand and everything. Then I go back home and then I order it online for like 30% cheaper. But the one that I just got, it's in my gaming room. Yeah, the one with the ginormous butt pad, right? Like, it was cheap. It was like way cheaper than anything I've ever had, especially way cheaper than a Herman Miller chair that I gave my son. So, anyway, that's the end. My butt's happy.
That's good.
Chair. And it was cheap.
That's good. Yeah. Well, you know, I know a lot of that furniture and a lot of those chairs, like, they just look cool. They have like some that are like super ergonomic or whatever, but they have some that are just like, they just look cool or whatever. And one of my previous companies, we were out shopping for basically the chairs for like the boardroom or the, you know, main conference room. And there was this like leather, you know, Herman Miller. I can't remember who the designer was, but basically it just looked nice, but it was like, not like, it had like rollers on it. It just wasn't like super functional or ergonomic or anything. It just looked cool. And they were like, I think they were like $2,200 a piece. And the guys that I was working with at the time, they're like, you know, it's a first impression. We got to get these. I think we need, you know, like 12 of them. And I'm literally like, are you guys kidding right now? And they weren't. I was like, let's hold off. Like, I don't know what the fuck you guys are talking about. We don't even have like nice desks or nice chairs or anything for ourselves, which I get the idea of like having an area for the clients to come in and really like enjoy it. But the disparity between like the rest of the office and then the conference room was just going to be like tragic. Fortunately, I talked them out of it, but I don't know. Nice looking stuff. It's expensive and it's nice to look at.
I don't know. It's weird that we're both designers, and maybe it's an age thing, but like, I love when things look cool, but I'd rather it be comfortable, right? Like I've shifted into a form or a function over form when I was always been the opposite, you know?
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's a good point. I do think that it still depends on the situation. Like if I'm going to go out, like the wife and I are going to dress up and go out, like, yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily always as functional as it is, you know, stylish, like shoes and shit like that. But I'm with you.
I mean,
it just depends on the situation. I do fall now more towards, I mean, you know me. I've always kind of like you know, dressed up a little or whatever, you know, whether I'm going to the office or whatever. But I think in this past year, it hit me where I'm like, nah, just these like khaki pants and a t-shirt. Yeah, you know, I like it. I do still kind of try to style it out a little.
But I think the middle ground though, the middle ground though is that, like, we were talking about like the Herman Millers and like the $2,000 chairs and stuff like that. I think at least now, it's like if I'm gonna go for style, I'm finding a way to get it at Walmart or Target or, you know, like, or Ross or something. You know what I mean? It's like you figure out this like middle ground where it's like, why am I being some bougie dick that's paying $5,000 for an office chair?
Yeah,
when I get
in my home office.
Yeah, and I can get like something just as cool looking that's probably more comfortable for $200. Like I tend to go that route now. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Yeah.
So
how is Walmart in comparison to Target with stylish stuff these days? Because, you know, Target's like crushing it. Like on the like actual like good designers.
I've never bought. I mean, I just threw Walmart out there, but like I've never bought like an office chair or anything from there. But I always go down the aisles of like the furniture and stuff like that, just because it's like, I don't know, I'm just bored at Walmart all the time.
Yeah, it's like you're hanging.
They tend to have like cool looking shit, but it's almost like just out of college cool looking shit, you know, like your first apartment, like TV stand type of thing.
It's like a
where,
dope
you know,
ass futon.
Yeah, but you know it's gonna last about 6 to 8 months before it's just complete garbage, and you're just gonna throw it in the trash, and you're gonna have to go buy something else. But it looks cool, right? Like I think but you're right. I think. Well, that's actually a totally random thing that we should talk about. So Target has killed it with the home goods, the furniture, like even like the partnerships with actual designers. But the clothes for females, I mean, I don't know if like you go shopping with your wife. Dude, it's like Little House on the Prairie right now. Like this, whoever they're hiring or partnering with is fucking horrible. Like I would not dress my daughter in anything that is there right now. Yeah. It is insane. There's literally memes all over the place right now of Target and like like the Little House on the Prairie type fucking dresses and shit that are everywhere. It's horrible. Like I don't know.
It's funny you
who
mentioned
is
that
there.
because that's exactly what Nicole, you know, when she walks in, when we walk in there, because, you know, they have all the mannequins up. I think every Target's kind of the same. There's like that front sort of big wide aisle that you walk across, and there's all the different departments. And women's is always seems to always be sort of facing that, because, you know, just typically, you know, it's like women are, you know, going to shop more. And so it's like, hey, here's all your shit. And the dudes is usually like, all right, you got to look for it because, you know, whatever. But yeah, like you said, it's all these like, yeah, that's the perfect way to explain it is Little House on the Prairie. And, you know, and then all the ads that they're doing right now are funny too because they're all like, nobody's in shape anymore. Remember, I don't know. I would love to see, I wish there was like a visual chart of when everybody used to use supermodels and now everybody uses like just the most average, you know, overweight, tattooed, no bone structure in their face or anything. It's like, it's an interesting time because you see all those and you're like, well, like you're wearing this outfit that looks like shit and you kind of, you know, shouldn't be a model. Cool. This is like, yeah. No, the poor kids these days with the catalogs. Like back when I was a kid, you get a catalog and it was like fine ass babes, and you're like, oh, this is awesome, chicks. Poor
That's
kids
actually
these
really
days.
interesting. Do you think that any kid on the planet looks at a catalog anymore? This is why I asked that.
That's a great point.
Our friend Ahmet, right? Like I was so jealous of him growing up, right? Like he literally like would get like this Ralph Lauren catalog and just be like, I want that one, that one, that one, that one, those pants, and then just like they would order it, right? And I was just like, oh my God, I just want one Ralph Lauren shirt, you know? But like, I was like, oh my God, people order, like you could just literally just pick what you want and like, you can just have it. Like I was like in middle school, I was like, I had no concept of this whatsoever. You know, like I was at Levine's putting my clothes on layaway, hoping I don't gain weight so the clothes still fit me after we pay it off. You know what I mean? So it was like, I don't know, but it's interesting with the whole thing with the catalog because that was such a big deal for me that like I dreamed to grow up and be able to do that,
dude.
And like I don't even know if that's.
Did you ever get toy catalogs?
So for me, I played sports.
You're right, dude.
I got this one called East Bay, which was all the badass sports equipment that also I couldn't afford.
Oh
but
yeah,
I would look through it and be like, man, I want that glove or that bat or that thing or whatever. So,
dude. Man, I actually wasn't even thinking about that when I said that, but yeah, I used to get a catalog called California Cheapskates, and then there was like the rival, which was California Skate Express, and man, you just bringing back memories. I would order that thing, and it'd be like 2 weeks. They'd be like, yeah, it'll be there, and I think I even called them to order it. I was like, yeah, I'd like to order a catalog, and they're like, all right. And they're like, all right, we'll get that sent out. You'll get it in about 2 weeks. And you're just like, oh, I can't wait. And then the day it would come in the mail, I'm for sure that I grabbed it and just left all the other mail and was like, yeah, it's here. Probably called the homies. I was like, let's look at this catalog together. What a different time. I wonder what things are like that now.
Okay, so I just was listening to something, and they were talking about this company. And I forget the name of the company, it doesn't even matter. But essentially, they were like a local news company, like very local, like this town, right? But they actually sent out like a print, like mini magazine, monthly.
I'm such a fan of like this idea. Like,
so, but
this is a thing I want to do.
Here's what blew me out of the water, though, right? This is, I mean, it was like a decently sized town, obviously, and they've essentially done this into like a few different towns.
Did it blow you out of the water, or did it blow your socks off?
Blow my mind. It blew something. It blew something. And what do you call it? They were doing over $100 million a year. this like
Wait.
mini, and this wasn't like, hey, we're doing articles about like this thing or this thing or thing. It was like, hey, Bradley Joe graduated high school this year. Great job, Bradley. And it was like all of these, like, because their whole premise was like people want to see their own name and like, you know, like in the newspaper and all that kind of stuff, which I did. Like when I was playing sports, like I always wanted to be in the paper, you know, like that week. And so it was like, I was like, holy shit. Like it's still a thing. It's just no one's doing it. So it was like, it makes me wonder, like, is there going to be a resurgence of print?
So I love this from the old school designer. Like this is the what we were back. We were talking about this the other day. We had that us and a bunch of our buds had that sort of online zine or whatever. But we would go out and like slap up stickers and all this shit. And like I've always loved that. And in fact, I recently saw this young lady on Instagram that just kind of, you know, people pop up because your friends liked something or whatever. And she was like a zine maker, and her whole thing was like, it was like her niche for her audience was like, hey, tips on making zines or whatever. But I love this idea, and we do, like in my neighborhood, we do get a town newsletter, and I mean, it's the funny thing is like it's crappy, it's shittily designed, but like I still like getting it, and I still like, you know. It's cool. I would love that. I used to romanticize as a kid, and I think I still sort of have it in my head. And I know some older people do it where it's literally like the cup of coffee and like reading the newspaper. I even think I subscribed to it one year, but never I never actually looked at it. I love the idea. I think a zine I might actually check out, especially if it's local, because it's not all filled with the garbage on people that you don't know or don't give a shit about or things that you don't care about or just depressing shit.
What's super interesting, I gotta find, I have them somewhere, like saved on one of these computers. Like the first project that I ever did that was like my own, and they're like, remember my domain was always studio, STOODIO.com, and I've had that like forever.
Yeah.
That was originally a magazine, a design magazine. That's what I wanted it to be.
Oh, really?
Like it wasn't gonna be me studio, it was like the studio magazine. And it was like meant to be like all mixed media, like some are painters, some are designers, some are animators, some are whatever. You know, like that was the whole premise of it.
Yeah.
You know, like we all have that dream of like, yeah, we're going to be like the popular one and super artsy and whatever. That was what I wanted to make, was a magazine around that. I would not want to do that now. But I do think it would be kind of cool to do this like sexy typography serif-y thing.
Yeah.
Black and white, like thin, like a newspaper, but like with sexy typography. Yes.
It's right? It still reads as like sort of like the classic newspaper, like because it's black and white, except it's like done with like the understanding of like kerning and spacing and padding and all of that. It's like
a perfect example.
Beautiful.
Do you remember when everyone did like the Helvetica calendars and like all that?
Oh,
Took like the ugly thing and all they did was change the typography on it, and now it's like super sexy. Like I want to do that to the newspaper, right? But I don't want to write it. I don't want to like do any of that. I just want to like redesign the newspaper.
Yeah,
I think it'd be dope. I want to subscribe to it and I want to get it and I want to read it. I don't want to make it, but. You know,
I actually I want to make it, but that's just like not reality. It's like, oh, that would be cool if I had like all this free time to just set up my desk and fiddle around with some shit that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But wait, how much is that one making? How much money is that one making?
Over 100 million.
God damn. Per year? Yeah, I guess. Jesus.
Because you pay it's a subscription, just like your newspaper that you pay. Plus, you've got advertising inside of it, right? You know, so it's like with advertising dollars, your subscription money. I'll find it. I don't have it with me right now. I was listening to a podcast and they were literally talking about it. And they were calling it like the Joe Bob businesses of the world that you don't think about, right? And like it was kind of.
Was this on My First Million or something?
It might have been, but I've been listening to a bunch of stuff trying to catch up. Yeah, but they were literally, the way they were describing it, it was just like this shitty paper or magazine that was not like it was more about the people that live in the town. And that was their stick.
Huh.
It was like it made it very personal. So the writers had to be local, right? Like they had to know what was going on with the town. They had to know whatever.
Damn.
You know?
$100 million in revenue.
And it was
That's pretty
syndicated
dope.
across a bunch of different cities, right? So I'm sure like they probably have hundreds of towns that they do this for.
Dude, we live close enough. It could be the Sunnyvale, Rockwall Heath, all the eastern suburbs. That's what we'll call it, the eastern burbs. Well, that's interesting, man. Dude, do you ever, I know this happens, but it's like, it kind of still baffles me a little bit because it's 2022 and, you know.
I like that you had to look.
I haven't
paused just then. 2022.
No, I remembered that part. You know, I was just pausing because.
Sorry, I cut off your train of thought.
The next word.
What did I cut you off?
Well, so I have this thought in the idea in my head is that everybody knows how to basically use computers. Well, let me phrase that a little differently. Everybody that uses a computer knows how to use computers. I know it kind of sounds stupid now that I'm saying it because you're like, no.
I'll add more to it. I'll add more to it because I know where you're going. People that are somewhat in our age group that use a computer.
Okay. Yeah. There you go.
We assume that they know how to use a computer?
Yeah, and they use it for their job. Like they literally can't make money without it. You're right. They're in our age group. So like, yeah, I get it. Like we were kind of at the beginning of like our age group sort of like was at the beginning of everybody using computers. I literally didn't really use a computer until I was like 20. So like, you know, the people now, like, geez, our kids, like, they're like showing us how to fix shit. But anyway, does this ever still happen to you where somebody that's our age uses a computer and they know that you work like in technology? They just like assume that you know how to fix all computers? I mean,
every
like
day. My wife.
Oh, really?
My wife still is this person. Well, it's like, and her reasoning is that she doesn't want to have to learn it because that's why she married me, right? But
yeah,
my wife, even though she knows what I do for a living, still thinks that I have these hacker skills that I'm able to just like create and find passwords and like make certain pages load faster and do all kinds of random things that I have no skill set whatsoever to know how to do. But even in our friend group, I've always been that person. Like that, hey, my computer's not working. Like, can you tell me? I was like, I've never had a PC in my life until this year.
Especially.
I don't know anything about PCs. I don't know how to do anything with it. If you had a Mac, I could probably help you out, but you don't. So,
well, I mean, I still like give it a try because like sometimes you just never know. If it's like some shit's really wrong with their computer, it's like nah. But a lot of times it's like software. Like I have a neighbor that he owns his own business or he runs his business, and he was like, hey, dude, my computer's going so slow. And he has a PC. So I was like, the first thing I was like, oh, I mean, did you like defragment it or anything like that? And he's like, I don't even know what that means.
You run Norton Antivirus?
Yeah. Do you remember defragmenting though, right?
Yeah.
But I don't even know if that's relevant anymore because that was like on discs where it would like have information on all the different spots of a disc. So it'd be like, well, anyway. So I go ahead and go over there and I realize he's got like this duplication of a shit ton of data, like 50 gigs, because his workflow was basically like he just by default started using OneDrive because it's like Microsoft. Mm-hmm. And it's like, do you know what that is? OneDrive?
Yeah, it's their Dropbox.
It's basically like, it's their Dropbox, exactly. Yeah. So then in his workflow, he's got box.com. And so I was like, I was looking at it and I was like, why don't you let me sit back and like watch you do like your workflow? And so he's like, yeah, okay, something comes in, they share it on Box. I open it up, I save it, it saves it to OneDrive. So then I open up Box and I import that into Box. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I was like, so do you have everything on OneDrive and everything on Box? And he's like, yeah. I was like, okay, I don't think we need that. But it's like, in my head, it's like, now I get it. Maybe I'm like, just in my head, it was so clear to me. I was like, well, first of all, you're duplicating all your files. Secondly, like, there's so much danger here because which one's the document of truth? Like, is it OneDrive or is it Box? And he was like, well, yeah, all my latest things over here are on, OneDrive, and all my latest things for my clients are on Box. And I was like, dude, this scares me. Like, and so I walked him through a scenario of like just using, I was like, pick one, like, let's pick one. I had to explain to him what they were. The cloud concept, I thought kind of like, because you remember for a while, everybody was making jokes of like, it's in the cloud. Mm-hmm. And so like, but that was like years ago. So I started to kind of have this thought that people understood like locally and cloud, like it's saved locally or it's synced or even the word synced. And so we're going through all this and I'm talking about syncing and he's like, I don't even know what that means. And I'm like, well, it just means that whatever's on the cloud on one of these services is also on your computer. But it was just like baffling. So like it was taking a lot of time. So I left. It was kind of late. And the next day he was like, hey, I'm trying to get everything, syncing here, but I've lost everything now. And I'm like, oh shit. Okay. Well, did you delete anything? He's like, no. I'm like, all right, it's all still there on the cloud. He's like, I don't even know what that means. You need to come back over. But I guess my point in kind of bringing that up is like, man, I think there's a huge opportunity and maybe I'm sure it exists, but it's like, there's still like a huge opportunity for like 101 education of like, I don't know, man. I just saw so many opportunities to like, help kind of like teach this person like how they can do their job better. I don't know. What the fuck are you smiling about?
So the whole time that you said that, I'm trying to think of what it was called. Do you remember the infomercials of like, I will teach you Microsoft Word. I will teach you Microsoft Excel. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Where it was like the old guy, white hair, blue button-up shirt. He's like, with my method, you'll be able to learn Microsoft Word in like 2 weeks. Or whatever. And like, we'll send out the CD-ROMs to you. It's like only, 27 payments of $180 a month, or whatever.
Yeah.
What was that called?
Dude, there's still a market
everywhere.
for that. For sure. The other thing is I'm not still like on the like fanboy bandwagon like of computers, but I am definitely still a huge fan of just how easy Macs are to use. Like I get it. Like PCs are probably a lot more simple these days, and especially if that's what you like grew up on. But man, some of the logic and the terminology, just like when you have like a menu that pops down and it's like, do you want to delete this or do you want to trash it? Or I just made that up, but it's like those types of things where like, I don't know which one I'm supposed to choose.
Archive, delete,
Yeah, I mean, I know what those mean. Unfortunately, I can't think of the example. But it's like, it was some of this stuff to do with like syncing. But anyway, I digress. Boring story.
I'm with you though.
But
no. It's. I feel like it's relevant because I feel like anyone that works in technology, which is probably anyone that listens to this, is like their family's tech support at least.
Yeah.
Even though none of us know shit. Especially now, like I bought my first PC for gaming, so like I'm having to like learn all about it. It's way more complicated than the Mac for sure, but I kind of dig it.
Yeah.
But
it's fun. I actually like when I was helping this guy out, I was kind of like, it's fun because I'm like, what does this do? I think this Yeah, I think this does this. I didn't fuck anything up, fortunately.
Like, I
think,
hope I don't literally fuck your whole life up, but I deleted some stuff.
Well, then at the end of the day, I basically, at the end of the day, I basically like looked at his system information, and he had like 64 gigs of space. And, you know, now we all have like multiple terabytes. I was like, how old is this computer? And he was like, oh, it's like 8 years old. I was like, okay. I was like, it's 8 years old, and it doesn't have much going for it. I was like, I think the best bet is going to be to buy a new computer. He's like, really?
That was the first thing that I was thinking. I was wondering what like his specs were on this computer. How much RAM he had.
I mean, it's like
what is,
zero memory, zero hard drive. Yeah, like an Acer from 8 years ago or whatever.
Yeah, it's probably time. I mean, especially if you're using it for work, like you need something kind of speedy. You don't need like a crazy gaming setup with like crazy GPUs or anything, but
right. But that's also interesting because he's like, oh yeah, no, I'll put that, buying a new computer. I was like, yeah, it's kind of a big deal, but like, dude, I promise you, it's gonna be worth it. Like, especially PCs, you can get PCs for way cheaper. And I was like, I promise you, because he was like, yeah, I'll probably do that at the end of the year. And I was like, hey, dude, I'm just gonna like give you my opinion, but like, you should just do that as soon as possible. Like, your life, if this is what you do all day, like, you're gonna be so much happier for the rest of the year if you have a computer that can actually like do shit without you waiting, minutes between each action.
No doubt. I mean, it's that way with Macs too. Like, I had an older Mac, and like, it's we're doing cloud shit and collaborative shit in Sketch and whatever at the same time. And like, I'd be sitting there waiting forever for things to load. And now I have this new maxed out one, and it's just like, it's just there instantly,
Yeah. So it's like, was this already open? What the fuck?
Yeah.
I'm with you. Essex he has my mother's old iMac, and it's honestly like, it's not that old, but it's old enough that it's painful to like get on and fuck with. And I'm like, this is good for you, buddy. This is what you know in life.
My daughter has that one, and which is totally unfair because we just got Hawk, that gaming PC. So he's got this his is faster than mine. So he's got this blazing thing. He's got his Herman Miller chair, and she's got my old iMac that's slow as hell. So I think it's time to upgrade her. So, which is weird because she's my princess and she normally gets everything.
Oh, yeah. Switch it up a little bit. Well, dude,
you got time?
Dude, tell me about this
story. Yeah,
man.
That's what I was gonna say. Okay, so this is totally like, do you like movies like thievery shit, like Ocean's 11 and stuff? I feel like it's a stupid question, but like I always This is okay. Hold on, pre thing. I always feel weird and bad that I enjoy those movies so much. Like, I have some kind of like criminal mind in my head that I get off on like those types of movies, and I'm so excited.
Oh, dude, no, I think it's like it's the well, with those, it's kind of like the getting over on the man. Like, if you think about like the Oceans, it's like there's always like a douchebag casino owner who's trying to fuck over everybody or whatever, and they're like, all right. It's almost like the Robin Hood, a little bit of Robin Hood in there. Well, except it's Robin for themselves, I guess. But
totally.
But it's usually from like a villain. But the other part that's cool about it, even if not, it is cool. Like, there's a couple of things. Like, one, it's like this complex sort of puzzle, and the way they're like, all right, you do this, you do this. Like, Ocean's 11's a perfect example of like, I think how we roll, where it's like, this is the gang. Everybody's got a skill set, and all together we form as like Voltron and get shit done.
Exactly. No, that's exactly what like the stuff that I like is like, there truly is a puzzle. Like, how do I solve this problem to get that prize?
Yeah.
And how do I assemble the right team that can do the things to do that, right? Like, I don't know. I fucking love it. Anyway,
it's cool.
So this crazy thing happened where this crypto company that's worth like $1 billion gets hacked. okay? And they lose $600+ million of crypto assets. Okay?
Jesus.
Okay, but this is the cool part. And cool is weird. If they're listening to this, they're like, fuck you. How you say that's cool? Like, fucking ruined our whole company. But anyway,
Yeah, not
this is
really
what
that
happened.
cool,
This
bro.
this is what happened. Okay, so it happens to us every day, right? We get hit up by LinkedIn recruiters, you know, and just like, hey, were you interested in any opportunities? We're starting this major company over here. So all of the developers of this crypto company start getting hit up by these LinkedIn recruiters. And they're just like, we have this awesome company over here. We have the best benefits in the world. We could pay you like, you know, double what you're making now. Getting them excited, right? And like, I think they had like 20 developers. All of them just ignored it except for one. One developer, obviously, he's like, I'm fucking underpaid. Fuck this place. I'm stressed out. Whatever. I'm going to talk to this recruiter. So he talks to the recruiter, goes even further, right? Talks to the recruiter, sets up interviews, has Zoom calls, goes through like 3 rounds of interviews, right? So months are going on. And then he gets an offer. Like he's like, we would like to offer you the position. So they send him the offer and they send him an offer letter. And that offer letter is a PDF file. Here, hey, George, whatever your fucking name is, like, you know, so excited. Here's your offer letter in the PDF. Check out all your perks and everything that we're going to have for you. Let us know what you think. That PDF was fucking malware. Oh my God. So the second that he opens it up, they gain fucking access to everything that he had access to, which he's a fucking developer that had access to all of the main systems. And the crazy thing is, like, there was no company. There was no anything. There's these LinkedIn recruiters, they were fake. Like, everything was fake. It ended up being this North Korean hacker group that literally just fucked this crypto company and got access to $600 million worth of like crypto that was in their system.
Holy shit.
Like, it's such a long con, you know, like that. It's so impressive to me.
That is impressive. That's like, but
at the same time, it's a fucking movie. Scary. It's fucking scary because I get those every day. Like people like hitting me up with as LinkedIn recruiters and like, hey, are you interested in this? Hey, we have this real cool position we think you'd be perfect for. Every day. Now I'm like, I'm never talking to another recruiter.
Well, they obviously weren't using Norton Antivirus.
That was their problem. That would have blocked it. But no, isn't that nuts, dude? I was like, God, I was like,
that is super nuts.
Some cool movie in here somewhere where it's
dude, it writes itself.
Corporate espionage, you know, but it's just like the only thing missing from the movie is why the hacker group wanted to do it to them. So the CEO of that company's got to be a horrible person. Like he's a monster and he stole money from like poor people and did all this back to your Robin Hood thing. And the hacker group is the Robin Hood trying to take it back.
Or it's one of those movies where it leaves you like, you're like, oh, the good guy kind of got fucked.
That could work.
You know, because there are those too, where it's like, the shit's going down and then this shit. And it's like, but then the guy's like, I'm still living life. You know, life's good. Oh, well.
Yeah. I mean, they were $1 billion company and there's still lots of hundreds of millions of dollars left, but their customers are the ones that really are getting fucked. But then actually, I was talking to my wife about this. She was like, well, I'm wondering because when you deal with a lot of financial shit like that, most of the time the banks actually insure that money. I don't know how that works with crypto, though.
Well, yeah. I don't think because what they're insuring, I think, is like federal notes, right? Look at us using words we don't even understand. But that's crazy, man. That's crazy. Like they even had the interviews and all that shit. And well, that's the thing. It's like I was gonna say, like, I wonder if they had anything recorded or if they could track down these people. But if it's like a North Korean hacker group, then Ray.
Steven.
Ray.
If you hear me, I cannot hear you. It says, Stephen Ray internet is weak. Don't worry, you're still recording at high quality. Yo.
All right.
It said Stephen Ray's internet is weak. Don't worry, we're still recording at high quality.
Said my
I don't think that that's the case, because I feel like my internet's like shit right now. So I think they just wanted to blame me.
Anyway, we're back. Well, it's always funny because when you freeze and I'm like talking, I'm like, how do I extend what I'm saying until Ray comes back on?
No, because I could literally,
fuck.
I could hear you, and it was like fading out, you know, and you were just like, or it's the good guy, and it's just like it starts to like, I'm like, wait, what? If I can catch it and it comes back, then I can understand what he was talking about, and I can keep going.
Well, anyway, just to conclude that, basically, I was thinking. Yeah, there's like no way to get these guys. They're a North Korean hacker group. Like, it's like, it doesn't matter if you find out who they are. You're like, there's...
So this was the question that I have. And I feel like you know more about crypto than I do, because you went deeper down the rabbit hole. So what do you do after? Okay, we are the thieves. We are the hackers. We just got $600 million worth of fucking Bitcoin. Whatever. Let's just go with that. Okay? Everything's on the ledger, right? So I'm the owner, or it's dispersed between my group of thousands of people or whatever that are part of my hacker group. But for that to be anything, I've got to cash that out. I've got to spend it on things. I've got to do stuff with it. And then that's going to be where the red flag comes into play, right? Where it's like, I just spent $600 million on a thing. So how do I get any and use any of that money? Is it like I've got to do shit that's like under the radar, like buy a pizza with it and buy this, like any place that'll take my Bitcoin, you know, in like little small increments that are just going to fly under the radar? Or is there a way
I would
to
imagine,
get the money?
I would imagine that there's still the idea of like laundering, you know? Mm-hmm. So they stole all this.
And then they buy a bunch of apes, and then they sell a bunch of apes. Like,
it's a really good question. Fraud. Like, because this isn't the first crypto hack. Like, you've been scammed before. But it's like how does... Now the thing is, I guess you can go.
But here's the difference between like mine though. Like I thought I was paying the right person, and I paid the wrong person. So that's their money. That's their money. They can go fucking spend it right at that point, because I paid for a thing. They gave me a thing. That just happened to be the fake thing.
Yeah.
Right. With this,
I think it's still the
I
same.
Fucking stole your shit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, how do you get the money out? Well, I mean, yeah, you can trace it from this to this, and then just, you know, if they disperse it amongst multiple accounts, I mean, it's all trackable. That's the thing, because like part of what makes crypto so fascinating to people is the anonymity. But it is hard to see like how at the end of the day, like you can cash it out without being an entity or an actual person. Which, I mean, dude, if they had any like North Korean like group that would, well, that's probably the way it is. I mean, we're totally both just talking out of our asses right now. But if there's a group that doesn't care, like say like an institution that will allow you to sell your crypto. So like now you and I have some crypto on like Coinbase and like Cash App or whatever. You can still like sell it. So you could transfer it, and basically it's like on the open market for sale, or, you know, it's yours to sell or whatever. That's a really good question.
But
I feel like I've got
that's
to
like
dig
a
into
red
that.
flag, right? Because it's like still have to divvy it up because it's going to be like, oh, there's the guy that took the 600 million.
Wait,
Because
here's the
600
thing.
million just went on the market.
Okay, here's the thing. I'm not saying who cares, but who cares? Like, who cares? Like, it's crypto. Who's going to do anything about it?
The company that their shit just got stolen is the one that cares.
Right? And how can they do anything about it? There's no
That's
federal,
my question. So it's kind of the bigger point from even when I got my fucking scam shit is like, there's no helping the consumer, right? Like it's like if something happens, you're just fucked, right? And the anonymous piece of it just makes it you even more fucked. Because it's like, it just went into the ether somewhere, right? Like, you can't do anything. So it's like, at least someone steals my car, I can track the GPS and I can see where it is. I can probably get my car back. It's probably all fucked up, but at least I got some shit back, right? This is just like, it's just fucking ether. It's gone, you know?
Yeah. Well, there are a couple of companies I've heard about that are like crypto insurance companies, which is interesting. So basically, I guess it just works just like insurance, where you pay a monthly fee to have your crypto insured or based on how much you have. And if something goes down, then they're like, all right, here's your crypto. Or they're like, all right, we're going to do an investigation.
See, but this is the thing, right? I think those are great ideas, except for you're a casino now and you've got to have enough money to cover what's on the floor, right? It's like, so that insurance company, if like I have $100 million worth of crypto, has to have more than $100 million and just ready for me, you know, to even like, for me to feel comfortable, they'll like have them be the insurance. You know what I mean? It's like, so that company's got to be huge, like fucking ginormous. Like fucking Chase would have to be like, get in the crypto game and be the insurance company because they have the assets.
Yeah. Right. They have to have a lot of. Man, we're talking about so much shit that we don't understand.
I know.
Like even just insurance companies in general.
Idiots.
Like at what point does an insurance company become the, get enough money coming in that they can actually insure you? So it's like day one, you're giving me like $10 a day, and something happens. Like I'm like, man, we've only been paid from this one guy like. For 3 months, we've got $30 from him. How do we pay for his medical shit that just happened? But it's like over time, it's like 1 million people pay $10, a month.
It's the gym membership.
The odds. Yeah. Then the odds of one person having a thing or whatever, one person is going to have a thing, but then his premiums go up to compensate for the future.
Like 80% of the people that just give money and nothing ever happens fund the entire company for when that one
That's
person
me, man.
has
Jesus.
an issue.
I always, every time I'm paying for insurance, I'm like, ugh, one of us needs to get hurt.
Well, I mean, so that's a whole interesting thing. Like we haven't paid for insurance in a long time because it's like, we rarely ever got sick. And then I got fucking crazy sick and was in the hospital with COVID, and so now we're like, fuck, maybe we should have insurance. We had a good run of like 10 years without it, and just paying cash for whenever we need to go to the doctor or whatever.
You probably saved $1 million.
I mean, something like that. Like I feel like I'm probably even right now with what the hospital costs were, but that was a good run, so I don't know. Anyway, let's go steal some crypto.
All right, man. Well, let's go steal some crypto, Ocean's 11 style. As soon as we figure out how we can actually launder it and use it.
No, I mean, we'll just get it, and then one day that'll happen.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it to
Ray Hernandez?
No. Oh, we brought this up before, but that's what we would do with it. If we had it sitting there, then we would do the Brewster's Millions movie. Do you know what I'm talking about? I've told you about this.
Where you have to spend it or something like this?
Yeah, where it's
I kind of remember.
like we're going to give you $100 million, but or something like that,
In
right?
crypto.
But you have
Yeah.
you have to spend this other $50 million and have zero assets. You have nothing in order to get the 100.
Oh yeah, dude, that movie needs to be remade.
Dude, dude.
I feel like that's still
people
good.
don't know that
it's
movie.
the zero assets part.
And that's what makes it so hard. There's a scene in there where like his friend goes and like, I just bought these houses or whatever for you and I made you all this money, and he's pissed and he's like screaming at him and he's like, I don't understand. I just made the guy $100,000 and he's yelling at me.
Yeah.
You know? So, dude, that part, and that was the other part of the movie is he couldn't tell anybody. Like it had to be a secret.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But anyway, go watch Brewster's Million.
Dude, I like this idea.
Audrey,
Man, I wonder if there's a smaller version.
I know Audrey's watching. Go watch, and I have like a whole homework assignment, like document for her of all these movies, so she'll understand my jokes. Like, go watch Brewster's Millions. It's on your list now. So it's a great movie, and I want them to remake it. I think it would be fantastic. I could see like Kevin Hart
Would be a
or
good
something.
one.
Like it'd be like a new
God,
new comedian
he's
or something.
perfect.
Like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, perfect for it. No, let's continue to use Kevin Hart for everything.
Okay, Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
He's our
Still scratching
our
my itch
sponsor.
for funny. Yeah,
Surprised
that's cool.
he has, well, I was gonna say never mind. I'm not gonna say that. That's bad juju. I was like, that guy's had like
glad you
such a
didn't say
string
it.
of good luck. But then I remembered he had a car accident that he almost died and like broke his spine and like all kinds of shit. So not the best.
Kevin Hart? Oh.
Yeah, dude. If you didn't know that, like, so he's
Great
like
book, by the way.
He's a super car guy. Like, he's got like hot rods and like all kinds of stuff. And I think he was driving like, my dream car. It was like a 1970 Challenger, and like fucking got into like doing like 80, hit something hard, like, and like demolished himself.
Ooh.
And like he had
Jesus,
to like.
I'm looking at the pictures of the car.
When you see him now, like, I mean, the rehab that he went through, like, that dude is a beast. Like, he went through he couldn't walk, he couldn't do anything.
Was this not like in the
It was
forefront of my head?
it was
Like, I
glazed
didn't notice
over
at all.
in the media. It was totally glazed over in the media. Like, if I wasn't probably
That's
a car
weird.
person, because I follow this random YouTube channel, where he started like a car club with his like brothers and friends. And I happened to be watching this random car show. I think it was even on YouTube or something, and they brought it up. And so I looked it up, and I was like, "Holy shit!" The dude like almost died, like craziness. It was
Wow.
like a year of rehab plus. Like and he's like, he looks fine. He's all athletic, still doing shit.
Oh yeah, he is a beast. He is like the Rock when it comes to that kind of shit. I feel like, which makes sense that they're. Maybe it's
They're
just
homies.
for TV, but
Yeah.
they're like homies. Yeah.
No, I feel like their vibe is real.
Yeah. Also, fantastic audiobook, like his first book or whatever. It was so good. I got like a second thing that
Does he read
put
it?
together. And I kind of didn't get into it. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I love.
I can't do
those, like,
audiobooks where people don't read them.
But most of the time they don't, though. It's annoying, like, which I get sometimes if it's like
Yeah.
a bio or something. You don't be like, oh, look how amazing I am. I'll say it over audio for everybody.
Yeah, I would love a Kevin Hart book. It's read like this by an enthusiastic reader. I am a professional voice actor. Ha ha ha. Yes, I jumped down the hill and I grabbed him.
Especially if it was like an overly white guy, and like if Kevin Hart,
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if Kevin Hart's from Compton or everything. It was like growing up in the mean streets of Compton, like,
Dude, that's how those things are when they get the
I know.
professional readers. Yeah. And then when they're reading slang, it's so good. He was like, I told yo mama not to snap back at me. Or whatever. I'm just making shit up. But like,
it's like
That's
Siri
literally
talking
like-
back to you.
yeah. I have listened to some that are like that, and it's brutal.
Oh,
Which,
so
by the
good.
way, Audible will take back an audiobook within a certain period of time. So if you get a
I've
shitty
read
one.
like so many halfway through that I don't think I've finished a single one of my Audible.
Yeah.
I
I also
probably do
love that we call it reading because I also say that. Like, oh, yeah, I read that. And they're like, oh, you actually read the book? You're like, geez, okay.
I can't
listen
read.
to it.
Oh, I can't read, but that's an update. We can end on that. Like after,
All right.
that's how much ADD I have. I can't remember who talked about ADD. Ken came on one of our episodes, talked about ADD, and like it literally like it shook me because everything he was saying was literally me for like so long.
Yeah.
And like so I finally went to the doctor.
Same. I felt a lot of the same shit.
I finally went to the doctor, took their little test and everything. So they're starting me on some stuff. They're like, I was very honest with the doctor. I was like, I'm not a drug person. I've never really taken drugs. She's like, well, then we're going to start you off slow. And so they're starting me off with like a low dosage, and we're doing like a 3-month assessment, and then we'll like kind of keep changing things up. So
that'll be interesting.
I'll accidentally, I won't say fuck anymore. I'll just be very serious on here from now on. So
Steve, what are we talking about?
Or I'll be cracked
that'll be
out
good.
like crazy. Yeah, one or the other.
Well, that would. It's funny. You're like, I was totally honest. It's funny. You're like, I was totally honest. I don't do drugs.
No.
Like
I told her. I was like, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. You're my doctor. I've smoked weed 8 times, and I've had 4 freakouts. I was like, drugs are not my thing. She goes, okay, what about any like upper type things? I was like, I've never done that ever. She goes, alcohol. I was like, I didn't start drinking until I was 25. And I was like, there's beer in my fridge that's been there since the last party I had a year ago because I don't drink. I was like,
right.
I don't do it. I was like, Dr. Pepper is like my bad shit. Like I don't do anything else.
Like I like uppers if you consider Dr. Pepper an upper.
Okay, yeah, coffee and Dr. Pepper, that's my drug of choice, So, anyway. All right, I got to roll, man.
Steve, yeah. All right. Sounds good, man. Hey, have a great day. Hey, folks. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, deuces.
This is my new buy sign.
Bye-bye.